up there in age. But you know, there is a quote that I put a lot of belief in, and it says, "A party without cake is just a meeting."
Amen.
That was said by Miss Julia Child, and she was absolutely right in that respect. Now, cake makes any occasion special, I think. Now, think of a special day that you had, and you probably had cake.
Yep.
So it was wonderful. Well, and I've made probably at least more than 1,500 wedding cakes in my long life. And birthday cakes, oh, that must be up into the tens of thousands of birthday cakes. I made one special birthday cake for a first birthday for Foodland in 1920. It weighed 185 pounds, and it was 4 feet tall. A Biloxi record. But I am also, I've known for my French bread, no telling how many French bread loaves I've made in my life. And but I was also known for my pastries and pies and cookies, brownies, and fruit bars. Now my oldest daughter, Margaret, and her daughter, Jeannie, continued to make those fruit bars for Christmas all the way when I was long gone from this world. Yes. So, I am Andrew Puzz, by the way, a baker of over 50 years. Now, my actual resting place is across the railroad track over there, so we didn't want everybody to have to walk over there. So I talked to Fred Klein, and I said, now, I worked at his bakery, and I said, now, could we come over there and visit there? And Fred said, come on over there. We'll have not a problem at all. So thank you, Fred. I was born in New Orleans in 1895. Now, back in those days, everybody was born at home. Yeah. So my parents were Andrew Puzz and Coralie Perez Puzz. My father was born in Croatia, which back then was a part of Austria. By the time I was 5, we had moved to Biloxi. We lived on Raynor Street. Yep. Well, on June 23rd, 1917, I married Gertrude Anglada, a local Biloxi girl. And we made our home on her parents' land. And our address was 422 Charter Street, but today it's called Bayview Avenue, back there on the Back Bay. Yep. Now, her parents, Captain Louis Anglada and Lenora Dugan Anglada, lived right next door. Now, this was all part of the Back Bay neighborhood where the Angladas and Dugans had lived for generation after generation. We were surrounded by a loving family. And then on June 25th, 1918, our young marriage was put to the test by worldwide conflict. That was the day I signed up for the war effort in Europe. It's the Great War, the World War I. I was in the American Expeditionary Forces, or AEF, and we were under the command of General John J. Pershing. Now, the AEF boosted the allies that we had over there. They had already been over there fighting for almost 4 years. But the feeding of our soldiers was a very important part of the military operation, and the AEF had the best fed soldiers over there. Not only for daily rations, but they got to experience a new innovation called a field bakery. And we'd go out there and we'd bake the bread right there and have fresh bread and meals for the boys. Well, I went over to France specifically for that mission. Now, I served there for over a year as a corporal, and then in 1919, they released me for home. So I came back, and in 1920, Gertrude and I welcomed our first child, Margaret. And Margaret was followed by Violet and Iris and Donald and Andrew and Larry and Helen Dale. Yes, we were parents to 7 children. Well, in my own long career, I worked at several bakeries here on the coast. And we had the National Confectionery at the corner of Jackson and Lemieux Street. The Kleins Bakery on Howard Avenue, worked there. Then the Electrik Maid Bakery, which was on Howard, close to the Clark's drugstore. And Galot's Bakery and Quality Bakery, which was my bakery, and I ran it in several different locations there in Biloxi, including West Howard and North Biloxi, which nowadays is called Iberville. Well, in the 1950s, all of my boys, Donald and Andrew and Larry, worked at the bakery with me. Now, Donald and I worked together for the longest, and it was he who kept all the recipes for the family. Now then, the recipe, we came onto some hard times every now and then, but we never closed our doors. If somebody needed some food, we gave them some food. We helped each other out. The Sisters of Mercy didn't have much resources, so we would, every day, I would take them a basket of pastries and rolls until we got through the hardest part of it. Well, the biggest honor of my life was to make wedding cakes for all of my children and some of my grandchildren. And each one of these cakes was 5 to 7 layers tall. I also made the colored bread for the wedding showers that was in the hue of the bridesmaids' dresses. Well, by 1960s, I retired. And when I left this world in 1971, I had the privilege of knowing 27 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. My grandsons were my pallbearers. So I had a very long, wonderful life surrounded by a loving family and satisfied customers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have some cookies. We have some recipes of the fruit bars that I made. So you're welcome to have that and have a cookie too. Don't eat the bread.